Okay, we can officially say we're on fire.
Yes. How are they? On fire. Their finger is definitely on the pulse.
So we see our work as almost split up into where one is developing people and the other is strengthening the organization.
I think by talking to a lot of people, we can start detecting trends and we can connect some dots.
Yeah.
And we can realize, for example, one of our values is speak true to each other. And we can tell by having all these one-on-ones that maybe there's a group of people that could use some feedback training, how to give and receive feedback. So at an organizational level, we have an influence by designing these training sessions that we can influence across the board. And the only way we know to do that is by all the information we get from the individual one-on-one. So we are connecting dots all the time.
We could also see if there is a tendency of talks going around. We would tell the EP to say, I think it's a good idea now to have a retrospective, to collect some knowledge, and in that way help the project and the EP to find out what's going on in the team.
IOI is growing. We're now a multi-project studio. And one of the challenges that come with that is communication across projects and aligning on goals, common goals. And that's where a people manager can really help to ensure that the communication lines are open and working as they should. And in that way, increasing the transparency across the entire organization about where we need to go with the technology and why we're doing the things we're doing.
And then on a regular basis, we have meetings with producers, EPs, directors sometimes, just to get an idea of what's going on in the team. And then, as you say, sometimes you have to focus more on something and sometimes less. But we do have regular check-ins. And often, I think, things occur in these meetings where you didn't think about it before, and then you talk, and then there's an issue or something you need to do something about.
If you haven't heard from someone in a long time, is that fine? Or is that a time to check in, right? Is that, I guess, balance of Fingerspitzengefühl, as Marcus would say.
Fingerspitzengefühl.
Even now that you mentioned retrospectives, I really like how we can help with those.
Yeah.
And because we don't belong to any particular project, we come across as like really objective.
Yeah.
I don't work on a particular game. I'm helping the people work well together. So we can facilitate the retrospective and everyone can participate.
Having a people manager is important, especially in a discipline like audio, where we have to deal with things like facilities and hardware and software that help sound designers get their jobs done. And sometimes that can be a bit of a pain point in organizations where you're trying to get all of that stuff organized. The people manager helps facilitate us communicating with other departments to get those things done.
And I think even when we do those things, we always have the long game in our minds, right?
Yes.
Like we want to train people to speak true, so we don't necessarily need, it needs to be like a neutral party, right? Like people need to be able to do that with each other. And a lot of people are, but sometimes that's difficult. And I think that's also part of what we're training here, right? It's like making that easier, showing people that is the way forward for us to make better games and have a better time focusing on what's fun, like creating games.
One of the ways we are supporting this current growth phase at the company is about making sure that onboarding goes as smoothly as possible. So we're assigning a body to help you, welcome you to the company and use day-to-day processes, also mentors within your project. And they can be across locations. It's one company, multiple locations. I really like that. We're also very mindful of the sizes of groups. We don't want any office to become too big. So there's always a sense of familiarity. So for example, around 100, 150 people per location. We want to grow the office in Barcelona. We want to grow the office in Malmo, and who knows the future what may bring. That way there's always a sense of familiarity.
HR has the onboarding process.
Yes.
The projects has project onboarding,
Yes.
like take care of people. So for us, it's a lot about supporting that, checking in if things are playing out as they should, when things are busy, deadlines are close, tensions rise. For us to like check in with those people and people around them, their managers on a day-to-day basis, and just make sure that is prioritized as well, because we know that that's been a great quality at IO, right? That's why people stay. It's very much because of those relations. We have a role to play there.
Definitely.
Oh man.
Okay, you're hired.